Hey guys, it's Charlene. A couple of weeks ago, I did a card with the doggone amazing stamps and dies. So I thought it would be fun today to do a card with the Meow Furever stamps and dies. These are absolutely adorable. I'm going to go ahead here and start by stamping out this cute little image with the kitty cat and the watering can. I'll stamp this out in some intense black ink, which is great for alcohol marker coloring. I'll come in a second time to build up the black here, and now we have a super cute image ready to color. I'm going to color our kitty cat here in some warm grays. So I have WG3, WG1, and WG0. I'll start out with my darkest, which is the WG3, and this is what's going to create our shading to help create a 3D kitty cat instead of a 2D kitty cat. I'm starting along the left-hand leg. I'm also going to bring in some shading on the side of the right leg by the tail, as well as underneath the kitty cat's head, a little bit in the ears, and also in the V that creates the chest, as well as over that back left hand paw. So that's what's going to help indicate what is in front and what is back behind. Next, I'll move on to my WG1, and this is what's going to pull out that darker color, as well as help create the illusion of the curvature or rounding of the different areas of the body. So for the hind quarter there of the kitty cat, I'm going to go all the way around and leave a small area to highlight in the middle with our WG0, and that's what's going to create that curvature to that part of the body. So I'll continue to go around blending out the WG3 in the various areas. I'm also bringing it around the head because that's going to help create the curvature to the face, as well as over the top of the kitty cat's nose. So now I'll come in with my WG0, and that I'm going to blend out the WG1 with and create that light highlight area all over the kitty. So here you can see we've got our nice little kitty cat, and I'm going to build up those grays by doing it a second time in the same way. Once I'm done with that, I'll bring in some R2.2 to color in the ears and give them a little bit of pink. You also could color the cheeks if you want. I skipped the cheeks this time, but now I'm going to move on to the watering can, and I absolutely love coloring 3D metal objects. I don't know why, but it is my favorite kind of coloring to do. So what I'm starting here with is some B2.4 as my darkest, and I'm going to flick all the way along one edge of the can. I want that line to be fairly straight up and down when I'm done, and I'll do the right hand side of the can as well, kind of going around the leaves as I'm trying to build up that line. So now you can see there's that center area that's pretty uniform. I'll bring in some B2.2 now, and I'm going to start a little bit inside of the B2.4, pull that out towards the center, and then finally I can bring in B2.0, which is my lightest blue, and flick back and forth from left to right to make that nice highlight. I'm going to do that a second time to build up the color to make it a really nice vibrant blue. For the stem of the watering can, I'm going to do the same exact thing, but because I'm working with a much smaller space, I'm only going to use a tiny bit of the 3 different blue colors. And I'm kind of working with a dotting pattern a little bit because that makes it easier to fill in that area. I'll come in here now with that highlight, and now we have a 3D stem on our watering can. For the top portion of the watering can, this is domed, so it's a little bit different from the curve of the main body of the watering can and the stem of the watering can. So for this, I'm going to actually flick up from the bottom line of that top portion, and then also flick down from the very top portion of the watering can. But other than that, it's going to be the exact same thing. I'm going to bring in the B2.0 as well as the 2.2 in order to create that curved look. For this top portion here, that's kind of facing the sun, so I'm going to go ahead and color it all with my 2.0 and then just use some 2.2 along this bottom edge coming around the curve. For the band underneath, I'll add some 2.4 and blend it out with the 2.2 because that's going to be a darker area there because it's underneath that area where the water comes out. And then I'm actually going to also bring my 2.2 all the way around on that top portion. My favorite colors for greenery are G 1.7 and 1.5, as well as YG 1.6 and 1.4. I'll start here with the 1.6 and 1.4, just using a little bit of 1.6 for shading on the leaves and then blending it out with the 1.4. Nothing too fancy here because we're working with some pretty small spaces. And then for the rest of the greenery, I will use the G 1.7 and G 1.5, just here and there, no real rhyme or reason. The watering can where all these beautiful florals are coming out of, I'm going to add some CG3, and that's going to add some shading back in there. It's not going to be super noticeable, but it helps to add some depth to our image. I'll color some pinks here on a few of the florals. I've got R 2.4 and 2.2. I will bring that 2.4 anywhere that there would be shading, so along the sides of the various petals and then also in the center of the florals. Blend it out with the 2.2. For our lilac, I have some BVs. I've got BV 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4. These are so fun to color because it's just dotting different areas to help create dimension and texture for the lilac. So I went in with 1.4 and dotted in various areas. Same thing with 1.2 and the 1.1. And then I brought in a little bit more of the 1.4 because I wanted them to be darkened up a little bit. But you can see super easy, and they give this lovely texture to the image. I've brought in some oranges here, some 2.2 and some 2.4 for some of these other petals. I just want some variation, so I'm kind of choosing one and then the other as I'm flicking through on those florals. And for the last flower, I'll use some yellows. I've got Y 2.3 and Y 1.1. For the remaining little flowers, I'll bring in a different blue. This is B 0.5. I just one color on those. And then for our flower centers, I've got some orange and brown. I've got YO 2.3, I believe, and YO 2.7. So I colored those in. For our butterflies, I'm going to do some violet and some blue violet, which is kind of a bold color choice, but I like it. I've got BV 2.4 and V 2.4, and then I'll bring in some V 1.1 just along the edges, which is much lighter. I'll do the same thing for our other cute little butterfly, and here is the finished pretty colored image. I'll cut it out with the coordinating die, and this die actually cuts out that second little butterfly separately, which is kind of fun. Now that I have this cut out, I can see exactly where that grass ends. So you can see I colored the grass with my G 1.7 and G 1.5, but I'm actually going to carry that all the way through the underside of our kitty cat there. And I think it looks really cute like that. Now I'm bringing in a very, very light blue, which is B 2.0, and I'm going to color all the way around the rest of the image. It creates this beautiful result that is a very soft blue, but it helps it stand out from a white background. I have here the Sweet Stacks circles. I'm going to take our colored image and use that as a reference point to see which size of circle I want. So I'm going to pick this one. I want it to essentially cover the whole image. It's okay if a little bit pokes out here and there, but this is going to act as a landing spot on our card for our kitty cat. For our sentiment, I will stamp out, I hope your day is perfect. I have some black cardstock here. I'll start with anti-static powder, come in with some clear embossing ink, just making sure to get some nice coverage on there. I like to stamp 2 or even 3 times with my embossing ink just to make sure I get a good amount on the cardstock. Now I'll come in here with some bright white embossing powder, tap that off, make sure my heat tool is nice and hot, and then bring it in here to melt that embossing powder. never gets old. Once it's done, I have this beautiful white sentiment. I'll cut it out with the coordinating die. Lately, I've been using a zipper pouch to keep all of my different sizes of double-sided foam tape. I find it really helpful because then I can easily grab which one I want. Now I'm going to show you my secret to getting a perfectly centered circle on an A2 sized piece of cardstock. So now I'm using this acetate sheet here from my Waffle flower sticky mat that goes inside my Misty. But if you don't have one of those, you absolutely can just cut out a piece of acetate and create those grid lines with a Sharpie and a ruler. Once you center your circle on there, just use a little piece of Low-Tack tape to hold your circle in place, and then you can add glue all the way to the back. I kind of keep my finger on there so I don't move it around too much. And then once you have the glue on there, you can lay the acetate over your A2 card panel, and you know that that circle is going to sit perfectly centered on your piece of cardstock. And then all you have to do is carefully pull up your acetate and remove that little piece of Low-Tack tape that you put there. And now you have a perfectly centered circle. It's like magic. Okay, I have everything arranged how I would like it. I've put some foam tape on the back of all the pieces, so I'll just remove the release paper on there and place everything back down. Put our little kitty piece, and now put our sentiment as well. I'm going to add glue to the back of the entire panel and add it to an A2 card base. I almost left it like this, but I did decide to bring in a little bit of bling, and I actually brought in the holiday wishes gem stickers because I wanted those nice silver gems. So cute. Here is the finished card. Everything looks lovely. I hope you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so that you'll know about future videos here on the Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful day.